Yo everyone, welcome to Amps, Pedals and Pickups. Today we're going to be checking out the brand new IR loader called Cabinetron. Now this one's got me excited because they're just packing in a ton of features into this IR loader. Things that I've wanted, things that I didn't know that I wanted. There's just so much to go through. I honestly couldn't even rattle off everything that it does now. Let's go into Reaper and take a look at everything. Oh, I should also say, I'm excited about this app. I paid the $59 intro pricing. I have no affiliate to these guys. I think that sort of thing should be said in the current climate of plugins and YouTubers and all that sort of stuff. But no, I literally fired up the demo of this, liked it, bought it, been using it, really getting some good mileage out of it, and I just wanted to do a video to show you what it can do. So obviously you have the factory IRs there, but then I've loaded my own, so I've just dumped my IRs into a new folder. I actually have like this whole back catalog of IRs that I really need to sift through. I didn't just want to copy absolutely everything into here because it's currently a bit of a mess, so I'm personally going through things like one by one and adding them in there, and then I'm going to start adding tagging, just sort of build things up properly. So I've got mirror profiles, some packs here from Ed, who was gracious enough to send them over, so I'm going to use them for this video for a little bit. But you can see here, I've just dumped, this is how the files look like in Windows. So I'll leave a link to Ed's stuff if you like what you're hearing and everything, but the way that he's got them categorized is like bottom left, bottom right, top left, top right speaker. Then he's got the microphone, so we've got an SM57, and then we've got like the distance from the center and everything. I might just load this here just so we have it primed and ready to go. And you can see there that I've used this tag. I've tagged things under mirror recto. So if I just minimize all that without having to drill into anything, I can just hit mirror recto, and it's got a whole bunch of tags that I've added to these, just very handy bookmarks. All right, so let's take a listen to things. I'll just instantiate it, and we'll go to the one that I first dropped in. Now I do that on purpose because it doesn't default to stereo, so if you're running things in a bus like I do, like a left and right bus, you just have to click that there. That's what that sounds like. I might actually just go through the top here. There's like a whole saving options there. You can export the IR if you want to do that sort of thing. We'll go through the A/B copy stuff a little bit later because that's actually super useful. If you want to bypass the plugin, you can just do that there. They've got this doubler feature here. So just like the neural DSP plugins, if you have a mono track and you want that fake stereo thing going on, you can use the doubler. Now this non-linear mode, I'll put up their literature on what it does on the screen. Something to do with making the IRs non-linear, because I guess when they capture, they're a static EQ capture, and this is some processing attempt to make it not. I honestly don't really hear the difference, so I will just leave it off. But let's I'll smash it to 100%, and we'll have a listen to what it sounds like off and on, and you let me know in the comments if you can hear anything. So this is 100% on, and I'll just take it off and on. Maybe somebody with golden ears can hear things better than me, but I can't really hear what it's doing, so I leave it off. And next to non-lin, they have a room reverb. Once again, it's not the sort of thing that I'm going to add here, but in a pinch, maybe it's something that you want. So we'll turn that on and have a listen. Maybe that's handy for you. Maybe it's not. The option's there if you want to use it. So yeah, that's that stuff. We've heard the IR. I'm just going to flick through the different ones so we can hear the IRs changing. Once again, it's only doing it this way because of the pack that I've got with Ed. Normally, you'll just be cycling through the IRs. But if you have a pack where the person's sort of captured that microphone going from the center out, then I guess it'll have the same sort of effect as that we have here. So let's take a listen, and I'll scroll through things. Pretty cool. I know other IRs loaders do this, and what you might see as a common theme here is like other IR loaders might do one of these things or multiple of these things, but this one just has everything in it. It's just so handy. All right, so let's take a look at the IR and all these different options. So obviously you have your volume, you have your pan knob, typical stuff there. If you have the need to change the phase, if you have a whole bunch of different IRs and you specifically want to change the phase, then you have a phase option there for each of them. You also have an auto phase align there, so you don't really need to worry about that stuff. It does a good job of it from everything I've heard so far. But if you want to tastefully drift the phase or invert the phase, then you have those kinds of options. I'm just going to leave it as is. If you want to put through some of the drive signal, if you have a need to do that, you can do that. Now, this mutation knob is very, very cool. If you haven't played with the sound, you can change the IR curve. So they're saying there's 31 different mutators, I guess you would call them, and it sort of like steers your IR in that direction. Doesn't completely change it, but it sort of steers it in that direction. And all the way left is a more thicker sound, and then to the right is a more top endy sound. So let's take a listen. So instantly when I did this, I dropped in some of my favorite IRs and I just went to the mutator and some of these EQ knobs and I was like, oh my God, I can take my existing IRs and just breathe a whole bunch of different life into them. And that for me was like one of the instant selling points. There's way, way more to come, but just this stuff alone using that mutator knob, I'm very, very happy about this. I'm just going to leave it on this Modern 3. Why not? Let's have some fun with it. I will take a look at the next options. So the miking, the fake miking techniques. Obviously, I know that this is like random processing. I'm not going to believe that, there's actually a mic doing things. That's just impossible. They're obviously just taking that IR EQ curve and adding some tasteful processing. You probably won't use this a lot, but maybe, adding 5-10% here and there might get you some good mileage. So let's take a look at the miking techniques. So the first one is just smoothing out that EQ curve. So let's take a listen and you can watch the EQ curve here smooth out. Maybe things are just sounding a little bit too sharp and you just want to smooth things up a little bit, 10, 20, 30%. Who knows? The options there, super, super cool stuff. Now, the next one, Fred, is the Friedman technique. A way of positioning two microphones to get that sort of Swedish sound. Take a listen to how that works with this IR. Maybe you just want to have a bunch of these, so I'll leave it there. Now might actually be a good time to look at the A/B copy feature because this is something that I've been doing all the time. So let's say you're playing around with these parameters. You might go, that sounds pretty good. Just quickly do a copy, copies the A over to B, and then I'll take this off, and then I can just quickly A/B the two. If I like how that's sounding, I'll just copy that back to A. I'll go back to A. I'll sort of mentally lock that in and I'll keep working with the next parameters across. So just like we had those miking techniques, we can have the XY sort of fake position and distance. Let's have a listen to these. I actually don't like what it's doing, so I'll just keep moving on. Take a look at the distance. Compare the two. Introducing this like sort of pingy sound, not doing this tone any favors. I'll just leave that off. But this EQ here is like, I don't want to give it a number, but maybe like 30-40% of why I also picked up this plugin. That mutator knob was super, super handy, but this EQ is just so, so handy. They're saying that this EQ is sort of based off the impedance side of things. I don't know what you want to call it, but just from an IR/guitar point of view, this EQ just seems to hit just so, so right. Let's take a listen. Let's go with the lows. To me, that low is almost doing what an amp depth knob would do. Like a generic guitar EQ, the lows, it sort of like messes with the tone a little bit. This is just hitting those like subs. Because I typically wouldn't add lows, but when I do it here, I sort of go, that actually is pretty good because it's like a depth thing. I really like what it's doing. And subsequently, the high is a little bit like a presence knob. It's probably like 12 to 16K. It's like doing something super high up. And then the mid is really hitting like the bulk of the tone, I find. I just copied it over, so we'll zero things out and have a listen to the differences in the EQ. See, I actually like those EQ moves. I'm going to copy back to A, and we'll keep looking at everything. So honestly, just even that section there, being able to nudge things around, super powerful stuff. Here you have your typical high pass, low pass. You know, I can just put in some ballpark 10K, 60 hertz. For fine tuning of the high pass, low pass in a mix, I'll do that with a separate EQ or possibly in the EQ module that we'll look at in a little bit. I wouldn't do it here, but it's super handy to have that sort of thing right there. Let's take a look at blending a second IR in with this one. So I'll just turn this off for a sec and we'll see what this sounds like. I'm not going to spend the time messing with that. We'll just say, for instance, the top one is your favorite IR. You can blend things just by volume, so you can pull this down. You can do that kind of thing if you want, but what they've done is they've taken the workflow here where you can just blend things. I might even add more. They've taken the workflow from STL Libra, like possibly the best blending method out there, and you can just start move things in this kind of space. Maybe just that alone is something that you're looking forward to. I really like the way that you can blend things here. It's super cool. But I'm going to turn this off for now. I'm actually going to just unload these, get them out of the way. I would normally spend a bit more time with this and get them sitting more harmonious, but you know, I don't want to be for half an hour in this video. So you've got two more modules on the EQ screen. You've got your typical EQ with your low pass, high pass. I couldn't really figure out how to do this, but we had like, a one astute viewer helping me out here. If you just use the scroll wheel, you can change the angle of these. So I really wanted a fine angle to get that going with a high pass, low pass. And once again, you can do the copy thing. So just make sure that these are both the same. And let's try and cut out some of that fizzy high end, and we'll see how we go. Now that I've A/B'd it, let's take a listen. Super handy, quick feature to have up there. I'm gonna leave it open a little bit more. Some of that is sounding good to me. Then obviously you can just double click anywhere, right click and do whatever sort of notch you want to do, band pass, tilt shelf. There's a whole bunch of different things. Once again, using the middle mouse wheel, you can change the modifier. I think if you hold control, control shift and alt pretty much just has a whole bunch of different options. I think if you hold alt, you can just go down and up. I'll just change that to a bell so it's not so crazy. But yeah, if you hold alt, you're sort of locked in. So you can try and find those resonances. Let's fine tune this bad boy. We'll do a copy. Get rid of this, and then we'll A/B the two. Yes, definitely cleaned up that resonance. I wish you could do a bit of a solo in these bands, but you know, it's just another module that they're adding into this thing. So that's an EQ. You probably know how an EQ works. Obviously, these guys made Kirchhoff EQ, so this is derivative of that. Super handy stuff to be able to do here. And the last one here is tone matching. It's just like an EQ tone match, so you can do a capture of the sound that I have now. Lock that in. And then we can go over to a bunch of presets that they have there now. We'll go into guitar. A little bit finicky, these menus, but I'll go to metalcore guitar and have a listen to the EQ match. Obviously, you have the smoothness there, how much you want it to match to, and then the range. So if you only want to, like, I don't want to change more than 5 dB or 3 dB or 2 dB, and I want it super smooth, and I don't want to match it that much. Maybe just like a slight shift in that direction is something that you want. You can also do your own captures. So if you have like your favorite album tones or your favorite tones that you've made in other previous records, you can do that sort of stuff and load them in here. But also very, very handy that they give you a whole bunch of presets just to go for. So let's take a look at a thrash metal one. I personally think not going crazy with the tone matching is the way to go, but some people just want to absolutely smash the signal and do that kind of thing. The choice is yours. You got all the options here. Crazy, honestly, that you're getting a tone matching and a EQ module in with all this stuff. There we go. That's pretty much the bulk of what Cabinetron can do. I've been using this for a couple days now, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using this for a lot of time to come. Maybe I'll do a revisit in 6 months, just to let you know if I found any cool tips and tricks. The only real thing that I can think of that I would really like to see added here is if I have like 4 IRs and I make a bunch of changes where I have some EQ changed here, but I don't touch the EQ there, and maybe I do some like strange moves here, and I only blend it in 10%. Like, I'm making all these, like, crazy adjustments to each individual IR. If I wanna do, like, a big overarching move to that, so let's say I wanna add lows to all 4 IRs, I can't do that now. There's no, like, master channel. I know I'm asking for a bit much here, but so what I'd have to do now is I'd have to export this IR and then bring it back in, and then I can make those changes. And if I go to my menu here, under the mirror profiles, I had my exports. So these are actually um, a blended IR that I already did that I'm bringing back in to make, once again, those big sweeping changes. That has a bit of a downside because I can't go back and granularly change that. So it would be nice if there was a master channel sort of down the bottom where you could change like the sum of everything above. But it's just one of those things that it's just so close that you just wish it had more and more features in it. But there is just so much going on here now. And for the introductory price of $59, honestly, this was such a steal. It's very rare in this day and age that I just use an app for like half an hour and go, yep, I see the potential. Let's just pick it up now. And yeah, I'm just really happy with everything that they've done so far. I never thought I would be doing a video on an IR loader. So, hats off to Cabinetron and the guys at 3 Body Tech for even making that happen. If you've picked up Cabinetron or it's something you think about picking it up, let me know in the comments below what you think about it. I think it's really, really handy, but the proof will be in the pudding. Will I be using this? I think I will be, because it's just super duper featured. I'm going to be moving all my IRs back onto here. I'm going to start adding tags just to start streamlining workflows. At the end of the day, anything to help me streamline a workflow is it's going to pay itself off in dividends. So I think that's what we're going to do here. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.